Hi, my name's Becky. I study textile design at university, and today I'm going to show you how to create your own meditative embroidery square. So this is what you're going to need for it. You're going to need a square of fabric that you're going to cut 15 by 15 centimeters using a ruler and a pen to mark out your 15 centimeter lines. And you're going to need some scissors. Fabric scissors are best so you can easily cut your fabric, but don't worry if you don't have any. And you'll need an embroidery needle with a wide hole so that you can put your embroidery thread through it. And then you need a few different colours of embroidery thread, or you can pick one if you want to. It's completely up to you. And this workshop is inspired by Junko Oki, and Junko Oki is an embroidery artist from Japan, and she has the idea of embroidery being a way to meditate and self-reflect, and she does that through covering squares of fabric in these really complicated, intricate ways using layers of stitching. And she says that she uses her meditative mind and her feelings of self-reflection while sewing to control her stitching and what patterns she creates. And that's the idea that I want you to carry throughout this activity. I want you to not worry about the outcome too much. I want you to just cover your fabric square in any way that you feel best when you're meditating and creating a relaxing environment through your sewing. So because Junko Oki is trying to create a meditative, a relaxing environment whilst sewing, I want you to do the same. So when I was creating my fabric square, I did this through closing my bedroom door and lying on my bed and putting on some relaxing music to make myself feel relaxed when I was sewing. You could go outside and sew in the garden and listen to the birds and have the sun shining down if it's a nice day, or you could just listen to some calming music, or you could just find a quiet space in your house to do this activity. So yeah, once you've done that, once you've found your relaxing environment, you need your square to start sewing on. And as I picked some felt because I thought it helped me relax when I touched it, because it's nice and soft and comforting for me. You could do the same. You could find a piece of fabric that you think is relaxing to touch and hold, but if not, just any scrap fabric will do. And then use your ruler and your pen to draw out a 15 by 15 centimeter square piece of fabric, and then cut that out with your fabric scissors or normal scissors if you don't have any fabric scissors. And then once you do that, you're ready to cover this square in stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do some simple stitches today. I'm going to show you 3 stitches, but don't worry if you know more and you want to use that in this activity. You can use whatever you want, but I'm just going to choose 3 simple ones to teach you today in case you don't know any, or if you want some new inspiration. So first of all, I need to tie a knot at the end of my one side of the thread, and then on the other side you're going to put that through your needle hole so that there's a little bit left over at the end for you. And then what you're going to do is, from the back of your fabric, push your needle through to the top of your fabric and pull until the knot is hitting the back of your fabric like that. And then if you poke your needle back through to the back of the fabric a little bit above your first stitch, and then push your thread all the way through to create a line of stitch, that creates a running stitch. And this is the first stitch that I'm teaching you. And then a little bit above where we've just created our first line, if you poke your needle back through to the top of the fabric, and then poke your needle back through again to the back of the fabric, and push all your thread through, that creates another line like that. And you can carry on to create a line of running stitches. So this is the first stitch that I am showing you. And it's quite easy to do. You can do it as long as you want, in any direction you want, but try and make your stitches a similar size, and try and do it as straight as possible. I haven't done a great job here, but you can definitely do it a lot straighter if you take your time. Okay, and then once you've finished with your stitching, if you just tie a knot where you've finished your stitching, this will secure all your stitches so that they don't fall out. And then just snip so that thread isn't getting in the way. And then you can turn around and we'll start with the other stitch that I'm going to teach you. So this next one is called a seed stitch, which is basically the same as a running stitch, except for you don't have to do it as straight and uniform. You can go in any direction you want. So I'll start off like we did with the running stitch, going through from the back to the front of the fabric with your needle, and then back into the fabric to create a line. Then, instead of going right above like we did with the running stitch, we can go another way. So I'm just going right next to the stitch that I've just done, going from the back to the front of the fabric with my needle, and then instead of going straight up, I can go a little bit to the side. Like this. And then this time I'm going to go from the back to the front here. And then go down this time. And for my last seed stitch, which is what this stitch is called, I'm going to go here and make a small stitch here. So as you can see with the seed stitch, like the running stitch, but you go in lots of different directions, and it can be any different size you want for each stitch. So it kind of looks like scattered seeds across ground, and that's why it's called the seed stitch. Okay, so if you were to use a new colour for this next stitch, then you would tie off like we did with the last stitch, the running stitch, and tie a knot in the end of your thread before you move on to the next stitch. But I'm just going to carry on using this colour for the next stitch. So the last stitch I'm going to teach you is the cross stitch. So again, it's similar at the start to the running stitch. You're going to push your needle from the back to the front of your fabric and pull your thread through, and then instead of going directly above like if we were doing the running stitch, we're going to go a little bit to the side and push your needle through to the back of the fabric. And then if you turn around the fabric, this is where we have just come from, and we're going to go a little bit next to it. So this is where we started off our stitching, then we created the line going that way, and then at the back of our fabric we're going to push our needle a little bit next to where we've just come from, back to the front of the fabric, And then here you can see we've got the line that we've created at the start, and then where our thread's just gone through from the back, and then we can cross over and that will create a cross. So we just need to push our needle back into the back of the fabric to create our cross of a thread. And then if you pull all your thread through to the back, you can see that it creates a cross. And you can repeat this step again. So push through, and then this time I'm starting from the top and going to the bottom, but you can do the this way or the way that I did before for the first cross, and then go a little bit down and to the left. And then flip over. And right next to where we've just come from, you push your thread through and then flip right back. And at the front of your fabric, you've got your line that you created at the start, and then where we've just pushed our thread through, and then again we're just creating a cross over our first line and pushing back to the back of the fabric. And then that creates a cross as well, like that. So we've got our cross stitch here, we've got our seed stitch, and we've got our running stitch. So I've only covered a tiny bit here, but you can cover as much as you want, and I've got an example that I did before that I'll just get. So as you can see, with this square, I've covered it using the cross stitch, a bit of the running stitch, and some seed stitches. And as you can see with the seed stitches, I've drawn a circle shape with a pencil and then filled it in with the seed stitch, and it's created the circle pattern. But you can use this for inspiration, or you can do the stitches in any way you want, and you can use other stitches if you know them. But just remember to enjoy this activity as a way of meditating and taking that time to feel relaxed and realize how you're feeling and feel your emotions naturally, and let that control your stitches. If there's any negative thoughts that you have during this activity, push them out and just think about the positive things and how this is helping you relax. But if it's not at first, see if you can do the activity again and how you could improve your environment to make it more relaxing for you next time. So using these simple techniques of embroidery, you can cover your fabric in any way you want and make your own embroidery square in a meditative way.